Hi guys, this is another final reveal video. I've been quite busy this week, haven't I? I've managed to finish 4 kits this week if you include the Helix. This is the FW-189 Focke Wulf, the reconnaissance bomber that the Germans used almost exclusively in the Eastern Front. As a kit, I actually think it's beautiful. It's a cheap and cheerful little kit, doesn't cost an awful lot of money when you buy it, and I think it's been available recently as a release from Airfix, but it is the same tooling as this kit. The thing I like about the OWL, the FW-189, it's called, the actual name of the plane was the OWL, is that it's quite large. For a Series 2 kit, it's actually quite large. It's got quite a large wingspan. I'm going to let you in on a secret now. The wingspan is the aircraft itself is pretty much the same size as a Mosquito. Wingspan probably a little bit bigger, and the length of the aircraft is probably a little bit shorter, but there's not a lot in it. The difference between the Mosquito and this aircraft is that the Mosquito had close to 3,200 horsepower, and this thing only had about 1,100 horsepower between both engines. So obviously it was a lot slower, but it was a reconnaissance bomber and not really a fighter bomber in general purpose. Jack of all trades like the Mosquito was, and did so well. Fit issues and issues I had with this kit, well, I'm going to be honest with you, there weren't any except for one, and you're probably going to guess what the issue was I had with this kit. And it wasn't anything to do with the manufacturer and the build of the kit whatsoever. It actually went together like a dream. Alignment issues, there weren't any. Gap issues, there aren't any. The kit, I've not used filler on this kit at all, and there are no gaps in the airframe anywhere. Underside, there's no gaps in the underside whatsoever. It went together exactly as it's supposed to. The kit, it's a beautiful kit to build. It's really, really nice. But the only issue I had with it is the canopy frame, because I had a lot of comments on the inbox review of this kit where people were often saying to me, oh yes, the FW-189, isn't that the kit that is a challenge to paint the canopy? Well, yeah, it was a challenge to paint the canopy, but the canopy, I have a method of painting canopies, and I'm going to do a video on painting canopies. When I do my next canopy, I'm going to video how I do them, because I don't use masks. I've never used masks, and I don't feel the need to use masks because of the method that I use. Basically, you paint the canopy of the plane whilst it's on sprue, and you take your time and you use not a tiny brush, but a brush that can be made to act as a screwdriver. In other words, when you put the paint in it and you discard the surplus paint with the edge of the tin, the brush goes flat and it goes around about I would say about 2 millimeters across, and you have a flat edge to work with that brush to paint your canopy lines. And any canopy lines that you go over, you let them dry, and then you clean them up with a cocktail stick that's been sharpened to the hilt, and it cleans up really, really nicely. And what I want to do is I want to show you exactly what the finished effect is, because it is, when I painted the canopy on this kit, yes, it was hard, but it's not a bad job, is it? You know, the canopy on that kit is pretty good. No masks in there whatsoever. I'm definitely going to do a video to show you guys how to do this, because you know, it may look like I took about 10 hours to do that canopy, but I didn't. And it's all down to what type of brush you use, how you use the brush, and how you clean up the mistakes that you made after, because you do make mistakes when you're painting canopies. Everyone probably has, unless you use a mask. There are a couple of features on this kit which I like. It has rotating propellers, although I made a right balls up of one of them because one of them decided it didn't want to rotate, and I tried everything to get that sorted, but it wouldn't. And the other thing is that the main undercarriage wheels actually rotate, and it's quite a complicated arrangement for the undercarriage. But Airfix explain how it all goes together in the instruction sheet, and it goes together all right. The colours I used for the interior and the wheel wells were matte 27, matte sea grey, because a lot of German aircraft were etched painted interiors. A lot of British aircraft were just British interior green, a lot of American aircraft were yellow and green, but most German aircraft were grey etched, and they tended to be dark sea grey etched. The Stuka certainly was, and this thing is no exception either. The Messerschmitt 109 and the FW 190 are both sea grey interiors, and you know, it looks quite. I quite like the finish on this kit. The actual overall detail of the airframe wasn't overdone. I did have to sand down quite a few of these rivets because I thought they were a little bit heavy, but it's not coming into focus very well. But you can probably see them better. Yeah, you can see them better when I turn the kit round there like that. But the actual finish on the airframe and everything was really quite nice. I also, a quick tip for people doing display standalone kits, you know, static display kits. When you put your machine guns in, the machine guns tend to lie in their mounts breeches down, so the gun will actually face up at the sky. The gun is it's fixed into the mount so that the breech is down to make it easier for the pilot, the gunner, to grab the gun. And it's the same with virtually every nationality. The American aircraft are the same, the British aircraft are the same. And if you see any aircraft in static display that have guns mounted in the canopy, especially like this in the FW189, you'll see that the gun will face up to the sky and the breech will actually be loose and it will hang down. And it's simply because the gunner has to be able to grab it quick when he sees something coming in that's a threat. The overall impressions of the kit, I was really, really impressed. The fit on this kit is absolutely spot on. They were right in some of the inbox reviews that the bands on the tail booms were a little bit on the thick side, but I did sand them down to about half what they were, and I think it's worth taking the 10-15 minutes it takes to do that. The colours I used for the kit, top coat is matte 30, the dark green is matte, I think it's matte 75, which is black green, and the underside is just the standard sky blue, which is used an awful lot on a lot of German aircraft, and also it has matte yellow tips there. The propellers are just painted in not very well mixed up matte black, and so are the bombs, to give them that slightly shiny look, which I wanted for this kit, because I wanted this kit to look like a museum piece. That's why it's slightly shiny, has an overall slight sheen to it, which is exactly how I wanted it to look. There is actually an FW189 in a museum. I think it's in Norway, can't exactly be sure, but it is I'm sure it's the kit that they actually use to model the Airfix model from, because it's got 5DFH written on the side booms, and I'm pretty sure they used this plane to model this kit with. So that's the FW189, no serious fit issues. The canopy went together and it painted up beautiful. Really, really pleased with this kit. If you're after a 72nd scale FW189, yeah, it's a cheap, cheerful little kit, and it's not an ICM kit, I know that, but it's not bad, and the fit on it is quite good. I was quite impressed. So that's the FW189. I hope the video has been of some use, and I'll see you for the next one, lads. Bye-bye for now.